look like. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Materia 2, right?
Chair, I'm disappointed in Nick Smith. I really am. I mean, for two reasons. First, we have a building and housing minister who can't tell the difference between a rental home and an office, and perhaps that explains some of the problems that the country is in when it comes to the housing crisis. But second, actually, that he would so devalue the lives of 500 children every month who are injured when they fall out of and, more importantly, through glass windows. I mean, this is 500 kids a month. It's about 120 odd a week, 17 a day. So today, 17 children will present at hospital with injuries ranging from cuts and bruises, from toppling out of a window, to severe slicings through their face, arms and legs as a result of crashing through glass windows and doors. Now, that matters to me. Those 17 kids today matter to me, and the 120 this week matters to me, and the 500 this month matter to me. And if the cost of preventing 17 kids today and 500 this month is that we require landlords, as part of their general maintenance of the house, where they have glass doors or windows that reach from the ground to 700 mils, because that's what the building code requires, we just require them to put a visibility strip. It's like a slightly opaque kind of design sellotape. It's not tricky, it's not expensive. You can buy it from any hardware store in the country for a couple of bucks. That's all it would take. And that alone would help prevent 500 kids a month from going to hospital with bruises and cuts and severe lacerations. I think that's a win. I think that's a win for our kids and a win for our families. I think it's a win for landlords. Does anybody want to be a landlord whose tenant's child smashes through a glass door and injures themselves or sometimes dies just because you couldn't be bothered putting a glass visibility strip, getting some tape from Mitre 10? You couldn't be bothered doing it. We don't want any of that happening in this country if we can avoid it. That's why you have regulation, to help avoid these kinds of serious and expensive consequences from accidents like this. So I make no apology at all for wanting to protect 500 kids this month and 17 today from going to hospital because they fell through a glass door. So yes, glass visibility strips are a critical part of a comprehensive warrant of fitness because they are one of the measures that will protect children from injury and help to save lives, along with a range of other measures that are also in these provisions. The fixed space heating, I was talking earlier about Emilita Bourne and how the home that she was living in that contributed to her death did have a heater that was installed in it, but such an inadequate one and with no proper ventilation, with no certainty of being free from mould and no proper insulation meant that that family could not heat their home adequately to save her life. So let's make sure that if we're going to have regulation around what landlords need to provide to keep their homes warm, safe and dry, that it actually will do that by making sure we include fixed space heating, effective ventilation and a requirement that it's free from mould. So there's other aspects in here. Effective window latches. This is one of the major issues that was reviewed during the Housing New Zealand test around a warrant of fitness. That ineffective window latches actually led to massive insecurity of those homes and was a huge risk factor for burglaries, which made people feel insecure in their home. These are not difficult things to do. So there's some other provisions in there that members can go through, like securely locking doors, for example, fire egress and, of course, fire alarms, because they do need to be installed as part of a comprehensive warrant of fitness. So I would remind us too that, following on from Lewis Hall, that children between 0 and 3 spend 90% of their time in their home. So 90% of a child's time between 0 and 3 is spent inside their house. The quality and the condition of that house is absolutely critical to their health. And we can make sure through relatively inexpensive measures, good quality regulation, and Mr. Chair.
Material 2, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And careful thought. We can make sure that every single one of those rental homes that these little babies are living in is warm and safe and dry and secure for them to live in. And the consequences of not doing so, we see being lived out every day. So 40,000 hospitalisations of children for respiratory illness as a result of cold, damp homes. Now, so if we want to understand how effective a warrant of fitness can be for that, the research on a comprehensive warrant of fitness has shown that in rental homes, we can reduce hospitalisations of children by 19%, nearly 20% reduction in hospital visits by children because of respiratory illness if we make sure there is a comprehensive warrant of fitness for their homes. Now that's for a child that might be ill and go into hospital 3 or 4 or 5 times in a winter. You know, that's at least one less hospital visit for that child. From 40,000 hospitalisations a year, you know, thousands fewer is what we're talking about. Thousands fewer children going to hospital because their homes make them sick. I mean, that is a win for us. That is a win for policy. That is a win for government. There's no cost here to government of a comprehensive warrant of fitness. It's not going to be expensive for government to require landlords to meet basic safety standards and have good quality homes that they rent out to families. Everybody wins. Landlords have better quality homes that over time they may well be able to rent for greater amounts, improving the value of their property. The government wins by having good quality policy that reduces hospital visits, reduces accidents, and reduces the burden, the financial burden on hospitals and ACC. Families win because they know that their kids are safe in their homes, safe and secure, warm and dry. So I find it impossible to understand, sir, why Nick Smith would pick on petty issues and make ridiculous claims about the provisions in my SOP when he could choose to do something great for New Zealand families that's also great for him. It's part of his legacy as a minister, that's great for the government and taking housing issues seriously, is great for families and is great for the national budget. Win, win, win. These are the solutions that the Greens are putting forward. Good for our government, good for our economy, good for our homes, and good for our families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Chair.